all the participants. We are running behind the time, so I have to start the next session and disturb you from having your excellent cup of tea or coffee, what you are having there in the next room. So I request everybody to just come so that people who are online, they can also participate. Just देखो तो वहाँ पे चल रहा है शंभू, just देखो. So basically, as I was saying, that this is going to be a dialogue between you and me, you and NMMA, you and all of us. And it is not exactly a monologue or soliloquy from one side. I am here to share my experiences with you. It is not a very top-down approach. Please let me, I know a few things and you must be knowing much more than me. But I would like to share my experiences with you. Many of you are here who are very experienced archaeologists, but there are certain intricacies which we need to share with you. And hopefully those who are online, they also get benefited with this interactions, and they can actually put their questions in the chat mode, and we will try to answer those questions whenever we find time. So I will not be speaking from the dais. I will be with you. Please stop me if you have any query or any question about my presentation. Basically, we are going to talk about archaeological database management, and NMMA. Mostly you are aware about NMMA because most of the participants here, as we can see, you are from Archaeological Survey of India, and few of you are from, of course, are from universities. Few universities have joined, and some state archaeology departments have also joined, one or two, and few museums are here also. Museum participants from museums are here also. So what we are trying to do, first we will say a few things about NMMA, then I will go to archaeological database management as well as database management per se, because database management is a thing which has been adopted by most of the other disciplines, but we are staying behind. We are doing only few things like filling up, excuse me please, filling up just tables and forms and formats. These are not only tables, forms and formats. These are something which are very dynamic in nature. So we will go to that. My first slide, I have borrowed it from one lady who is known Eleanor Benham. She has worked on Neolithics in South India, and we have one map here. We will get back to this map after we go into details into the database management thing, and we will get to know what are these things actually mean. Of course, you know, already you know. You can interpret this data already, as you are all archaeologists. And you have come across such kind of images in your lifetime, in your student life, in your research activities. You have come across such maps. You yourself have taken help of database managers or those who are in IT sector, and you have prepared such maps also. So it is nothing new, but we will get back to it later. So NMMA, what happened actually, it was started in, with Honorable Prime Minister of India's Independence Day speech in 2003. Ultimately, it came into existence in 2007. It had a target of creating two databases, one on monument, BHS, Built Heritage and Sites, as well as another one was on antiquities. So these were two targets that we are going to create, two national databases, because it will give one uniform platform, uniform way of documenting antiquities. Why it was required? Anybody can tell me? Can anybody try to guess it? Why one uniform platform was required? Why? Not necessary, because there are different parameters adopted by different organizations. Some people are writing, even in Government of India, one process was started few years back, that is Jatan. Okay? Jatan had fewer parameters. Those parameters means it's attributes of those particular or characters. If we say all these jargons, it may not be easily understood by most of you, many of you. Those who are not familiar with database management system, etc., they may not find it very easy to find out what people are talking about. But the thing is that everybody is having some character. Someone is angry, someone is having dark complexion, someone is having curly hair. So these are attributes, something like that. But thing is that these are qualities or characteristic features, etc., etc. But suppose hair color, that is one attribute, and you have variations, okay? But that hair color has not been taken as a parameter itself in the documentation or database. Okay, that will not be represented in that particular database. Someone else has taken that hair color as an identifier, okay, in another database. So these two databases will create two type of database platforms. When you are going to search on the basis of hair color, you will not find any answer for one database. In another database, you will find the answer. So that is there. So we have some other objectives that I have already kept on screen for long, so you already know: publication, publicity, acquisition data, etc., etc., and training, of course, because we need human resources who can build this data set. So far we have done what we have done. We expect, that is an unverified account, that we have 58 lakh antiquities in the country. This is unverified. We think that we have more actually, and we have more than we have more than 6 lakhs actually of built heritage and sites, nearly, because the last census says that you have 6 lakh villages and 50,000 or so towns and cities. But if you consider that each one of them may be having one site or another, maybe some of them may not have, but in most of the cases, you will find that the number of 6 lakhs is exceeded by many more thousands, because one place itself may contain more than one, several actually. If you think about Palitana, this is having so many temples at the same place, okay? So we are having approximately 4 lakh, that is also unverified, unprotected built heritage and sites. And so far we have documented these many things, whatever you can see there in the thing. Now, who has documented so far? This is what we are talking about. This is about decentralization. We alone cannot do. Central government cannot do it alone. We require participation of state governments. We require participation of local bodies, district administration. We require museums. We require NGOs, universities and colleges. Because if you think about this 58 lakh antiquities, I can tell you one data that is about Archaeological Survey of India. We have now calculated and we have found that we have only 9.02 lakh antiquities in our possession so far. So far. That means 49 lakh antiquities are in the public domain, owned by universities, museum, colleges, several heritage bodies, district administration and many more. We don't know public, private ownership also. So we require decentralization, we require people to come forward, but we cannot give them unhindered access also to stop smuggling. Okay? If someone alone comes, one individual without any affiliation comes to me and says this is an antiquity, okay, if I say yes, this is an antiquity, and I verify it, there is a chance of him to going back and sell it in the black market, sell it in the international market for getting benefit out of it. So there should be restrictions also. We cannot be so open also. We need checks and balances in documentation process. So we require in-house. Now we have one website where we are documenting, we are uploading things there, and then of course how we are doing it. We have 4 levels of documentation, so that one person is doing it, the next person, the supervisor, checks it, that if the documentation is correct, identification is correct, all parameters were correctly filled up, then this was scrutinized by someone DYSA level, or in the institution someone above you, some assistant professor has done it, so someone senior to him may check it, and then it goes to the central repository of data repository, and their director NMMA generally, because under AAT Act, who can decide the antiquity? Who is empowered to decide? Who is there? Anybody? DGSI, and if he delegates the power, not below the rank of the director, that's why some check is there who is going to call it an antiquity. Not all those things excavated out of one excavated site will be considered as antiquity as such. Because even if you claim, ultimately Director General can reject that this is an antiquity. So these kind of checks and balances are there. Sorry. No, basically we depended earlier on secondary data collection. Now we are going for primary surveys and all for BHS. So this is there. Now comes archaeological database management. Now this is one text that I often use in my presentations. This is Maski district Raichur. This has been taken out from Indian Archaeology, a review. Okay. Now the question is to you, do you consider it a database? Do you consider it a database? Maski, the famous site of an Ashokan rock edit, Hyderabad, has been attracting the attention of archaeologists, etc., etc., etc. Brahmagiri, 1947, most of the things, many things are written there. Is this a database? Is this a database? The question is open to you, you can answer. What is the opinion of the house? What is the opinion of the house? Is this a database? Yes? How many of you are saying no? How many of you are saying yes? It is not a database.
It is a part of.
How many are having confusion?
It is.
It is a database. What is the problem with it? Someone says it is not. Why? Let us hear. What is the problem with it? Maybe there is some problem. Huh?
Everything is there.
It is a database, but the thing, there are limited things. There are limitations. What? A database requires that it should store information. It has stored information. Yes, it has done. Okay, it is secured. It has been published. It is secured somewhere. You can retrieve information. Yes, you can retrieve. You have to go through every page of that book to retrieve information. Okay, but there are certain limitations. I will come to those terms, that is concurrency. Concurrency is that accessibility, retrieval. These two things are problematic here. Okay, concurrency, I will come back to that term, and as well as retrieval also. Here is one. Is this a database? This is Google Earth. This is Google Earth, image of Google Earth, and I have given this particular link also. You can go back, actually, go and check also. Is this a database? Is this a database? What is present here and not present there in that earlier database? That is there, but in the character of this database, what was present there and not present here, and what is present here, not present there. Probably I would say that what is present here, not present there. That would be a better way to formulate the question about it. Photography, yes. Leave aside visual things. Leave aside visual things. Basic character. क्या है इसमें जो उसमें नहीं था? One can access it, not the location. Concurrency. Concurrency means easily accessible to various population at the same point of time. If you are searching for the location of Kardameshwar Temple, Varanasi, I am searching it here. Can I search it with my mobile, with the help of my mobile? The person who is sitting at the back, he at the same time, at the same moment, can he search it? That is concurrency, accessing the database at the same time. You can put questions. Both of us can put numerous questions there, like the location of Kardameshwar Temple, its map, its approaches to that particular site. At the same time, we can put so many questions, queries, and it will try to extract the answer on the basis of the database behind it. So that is one very good example of it. And NMMA, this website, it is also a relational database. It is not very advanced, I would say, but you can actually put your questions and queries so that there are different parameters. You can ask certain questions, certain limitations are there. Every database is having certain limitations actually. You cannot ask everything. Okay, like you cannot go to the shop of one tea maker or tea shop. You cannot go there and ask for biryani. Or a sweet shop, you cannot go there and ask for anda fry. The same way, you cannot go to Google Earth and ask for data about film, that who has acted in Jodha Akbar. You cannot ask this in Google Earth. You have to have another database. So archaeological databases are very particular in that sense. And here we are asking certain questions on the basis of certain parameters. The parameters have already been decided. So database management system, that's what we are coming back again. We can store, retrieve, run queries, and concurrency, security, backup and recovery. These are the basic features of any good database management system. Concurrency I have already discussed, so you know about it. Now we are coming to DBMS and data models and the features of DBMS. People say now database management system is now very popular. Not only popular, these things are must in case of any IT project, because you require huge databases at the back. Actually, when you are searching anything, nowadays people immediately, if you hear one term, particularly you don't know about it. Immediately you go to where? Go to your mobile and go to where? Google. That's a huge database. People often say that, okay, Google, I do not believe in Google. Google gave this answer. No, Google didn't give you answer. Google searched a huge database, checked from it, and that particular system found some similarities to your queries in certain databases, picked up those databases and produced before you. Now it is you to decide which database to actually access for getting answer to your question. So there are several kind of databases: relational, object-oriented, hierarchical database, network database. But besides these are all, there are many other databases, but I am just saying those preliminary things so that these things, when you are filling up the forms, like this one, accession number, name of the antiquity, site, etc. Okay, these are not only forms. These are not only forms now, they are very dynamic living fields and records. Okay, so we will go back, we will discuss about relational database, object-oriented databases, etc. Now we just have a look at these things. These vertical columns are known as fields and horizontal ones are known as records. And whatever you are putting there, these are values. Values, by this particular word, we are not talking about numericals only, not 1, 2, 3, 4. When you are writing Rajghat, it is also a value here. Okay, and actually when you are saying something about this particular field, it's museum or branch, or name of the artifact, year of finding. Okay, these are all attributes or characteristics of this particular antiquity. That particular antiquity was found in certain year. That site was excavated by somebody. These are all features. If you are not finding it easy, please stop me at any point. If you have any question, please just shoot those questions. I will try to answer. So these things are these values. In case when you are filling up those forms, you think you are filling up those forms, you have to think about the value also. Because if certain field has been demarcated that it should be having only numericals or only alphabeticals or only date kind of values, you cannot put different kind of value there. Suppose it has been written that it is only short text. You have to write short text there. Okay, you cannot write date there because that format or attributes values will be different and it will not be accepted by the database. So it will produce null value and your particular template will not be recognized for query. When you are asking questions to a database that how many hand axes were discovered in a particular year, you have written 13th October 2009. This is not the date format. The value format is not correct here. The value format should be 10/2009, something like that. This is the date format. If you put the value different ways, so it will not produce any result. But you have found, you will say, what Madhulika madam, your database of NMMA is nonsense. It is not producing any result. Because you have asked wrong question, you have documented wrongly. So these are the problems dealing with it. Now, if we go back again, if you okay. So basic concepts of these database types. These are, we said we have relational database, object-oriented database, network database, hierarchical database, 4 type of databases. We are coming down to relational database. NMMA database is a relational database, that's what we are saying. Relational database means we are having several databases. Within this database, we can connect with each other and we can actually produce answers to your queries if you are putting structured in a particular way, in a syntax. Suppose you are speaking in Hindi. You will speak in certain syntax, otherwise certain format or certain way, otherwise सामने वाले को समझ में नहीं आएगा. हाँ, लेकिन उसी syntax में अगर हम नहीं बोल के, if I talk to them in or in a different language or different manner, then also they will not be able to. Same happens with the databases. You have to produce in a certain syntax, you have to produce these questions in certain syntax. So these databases, relational databases, will check in its own repository, ask each of these databases systems that what is the answer, and it will produce the answer. So I am just playing with 2 tables, small ones here. You can see here or here. Okay, there are 2 tables. Okay, you yourself can say these are 2 databases. Okay, these are 2 databases. One table and one database. It is having information about certain things, and another is another database. It is talking about certain other parameters. Can you mix up these 2? That's what NMMA is doing. Can you mix up these 2? Can you mix up these 2 databases? That's what NMMA is doing. How it can be done?
Things can merge with each.
Yes, which means you can make a single database out of these 2. What is means most important here? Both common here, most accession number. Now in relational database, this is called primary key. Primary key for this particular first database. That primary key is the identifier. Okay, in the second one, this becomes the foreign key. This accession number बाहर से आ रहा है ना, विदेश से आ रहा है, दूसरे देश, so foreign key हो गया. Now there are certain things. These are actually features of relational databases, and here you have certain things which have their separate existence out of this database also, and certain things which are having their existence only here, isn't it? Like Rajghat, like Shravasti, like Piprahava or Hastinapur. If you take them out of this database also, they have their own other parameters, and they do not belong to this particular database only. These are natural keys. But there are certain parameters also which are not independent. You cannot take them out. 250, if you take them out, actually, it will not mean anything. 250 or 50, etc., it will not mean anything. These are surrogate keys. And there are certain keys which are composite keys, like 1940, 1959, plus Rajghat. In 1959, probably another site was also excavated. Okay, so if you just write 1959 in an archaeological database, it can produce many archaeological sites. But if you say 1959, okay, Shravasti, then it will only talk about the excavation at Shravasti. That's why it is a composite key. Okay, so these are involved in relational database, and this is the basic feature of NMMA database. sorry. So we have already talked about, these are called objects. These tables are called objects, query, form, etc. There are various variations in these objects. Then you have data type. I have talked about the date kind of data. Then short text, the numericals, these are data types. Primary key and structured query language, I have already talked. Then there is object-oriented database. This is a bit difficult, a different also, higher level. We are adopting all these things. So these will deal with relational databases plus object-oriented principles. There are certain object-oriented principles. It will something like that, like if you think about one database having one music video or one documentary embedded in it. It's not exactly relational part of that database. You have to click it and go to one documentary. Separately, it will become a separate entity out of this database. Yes. For that first database.
Now, have you taken care to provide for different forms of accession numbers? Because many institutions...
No, I am just talking about the...
No, I'm asking about the primary database. And you said at the beginning that if you don't put it in the right format, so has the database the capacity to take it as it is, or they are either in numeric format or alphanumeric or...
No, if you decide, I am talking about the nature of database. What we are doing here exactly, it's, yes, of course it is there, but think once you have decided it is only numerical, you cannot put alphanumerical there. And it has nothing to do, you have nothing to do with primary key here. Primary key, it's character. Yeah, about connecting these two databases.
No, I am talking from the point of view of those who are just being initiated into the subject. So suppose they are documenting a private collection where they are not having any kind of accession numbers or registration numbers.
One number will be generated by NMMA.
Okay.
One number will be already generated by NMMA. Okay, that is the national database number. That can be alphanumerical. That has been alphanumerical already. So that is different. But the thing is that in between several databases inside NMMA, that will be the primary key. Okay.
Ma'am, you meant that while searching for the data,
yes,
somebody is accessing the data. Then it will be the primary.
So this is now we are coming back to object-oriented databases, and we are having different kind of things inherent in the relational databases which are not part of relational databases, like documentary and many others, like paintings, okay, like podcasts, etc. Like interviews. If I have one interview with Professor Vidula Jaiswal Madam and incorporate that with Chunar, that will be an object-oriented database. And these are having certain things there, concurrency control. Concurrency we have already talked about, that getting access. Now we have transactions. In NMMA database, suppose it is easier to explain in this way. Suppose you are having one bank account. Similar thing I will go to archaeological data also. You are having 10,000 rupees there, okay, and you thought about creating a new account, okay, and in that account from that 10,000 only you are taking 1,000 rupees there, and you are putting it in that 1,000 in your new account, okay. So how much you will have now? 9,000? 10,000 only. 10,000 only. That is transaction. So you are having 50,000 antiquities in the Central Antiquity Collection in New Delhi. Now you are distributing those 50,000 antiquities, one to Sarnath Museum, 10,000 antiquities, 20,000 antiquities to Kushinagar, and then remaining antiquities to Sachi. So how many antiquities are now you are having in your database? Same. That is transaction. And then comes inheritance. Then comes inheritance, of course, whatever data you are getting from your earlier databases, taking it to the new one, and polymorphism. Polymorphism is something like someone of you are an archaeologist, at the same time you are a lady, you are a student also. This is polymorphism. But in case of database, suppose you are taking Rajghat, okay? It is having Kushana period things, okay? It is having medieval things also, medieval antiquities, okay? Your database is having different kinds of materials inherent there. And as well as if you are in your database, you are having one documentary of Rajghat. That is polymorphism here. Then comes hierarchical database as well as network database. Hierarchical is something like you have one college, you have history department, Pali department, Sanskrit department. This is hierarchy. You have one central antiquity collection. Under it, you have Purana Kila Museum, you have Red Fort Museum, Swatantrata Senani Museum, all the databases connected to the same, or National Mission on Monuments and Antiquities, NMMA database, having several other databases within it, Vaishali Museum, Sarnath Museum, Kushinagar Museum. So this is hierarchical network. You are taking antiquity of medieval period out of Sarnath Museum and taking it to Red Fort Museum, okay? Or you can say that someone in one college, he is teaching archaeology or teaching more history, and he was called to give or deliver a lecture in the political science department about history of freedom struggle. So he has been recorded as one lecturer in the history department also in that particular database, and also in the political science department as one lecturer. That is network, creating network or jalika between all associated databases. Next please. So NMMA is also having certain things there. So this is one of the most important, I feel it is a very interesting database. If you go to that particular one, this was created by Southampton University. Okay, our national database aspires to be something like that. So if you go to this, it is only on amphora. Only on amphora. If you go to this particular link, and you will find that Africana Piccolo, or if you go there, it's not connecting, it will connect. Yes, go to Africana Piccolo, first one, click it, I, in that I section, Africana Piccolo, yes. Okay, this is if you go down, these are saying something all descriptive, okay? These are having distinctive features, all kinds of amphora, all of them have been documented here and with several parameters, distinctive features, date range, etc., etc. Go to the top, you go to pictures. So you have all, wherever they have found Africana Piccolo, you will get the photographs there. If you go there to petrology, also different. This is object-oriented database, a marriage between object-oriented database and relational database. Then if you go to bibliography and then to, it is also descriptive, that is a relational database, 3D models, then comes object-oriented principles in action. So, go down, you go to any one of them, you go below, then 3D models there, vector images. You can go down below, you can click any one of them. You will find 3D models actually there. So you can do all this play at your leisure, and as we have little time, I just go forward. Back to the presentation, please. Okay, below. So this is data visualization. You have done this, many of you have done these things, and you can say a lot of things out of these graphs, out of these pie charts and etc. You can easily interpret this data. This is kind of data visualization which is different from what we have seen in this Indian Archaeology Review, that musky one. Just remember it. This is what different from dynamic responsive databases, that you can visualize data in numerous ways. It is easier for people to interpret your data. That actually Europe and North America dominated the scene of World Heritage sites and their this thing, and in particular years the domination reached a peak also, because of various reasons, political, social, economic, etc., etc. Next. And this is a complex database in Kua. I am grateful to Dr. Charutha Kulkarni, one of our colleagues. They are doing this Global South database with several parameters, complex. It is not 21 parameters of NMMA. These are having several parameters, and when you incorporate all those parameters, you can ask interesting questions like what happened to human land use patterns in early Holocene, man and environmental relationship in first 3,000 years of early Holocene. All these information, all these questions we are asking are based on huge databases, complex parameters. They are getting geological data also, they are getting archaeological data also, they are getting databases from the entire global south. That's how it enables the researcher to ask complex questions. The more complex the database is, the more parameters incorporated, you get more questions like this, and you can answer such questions. Next, please. You can go to that site and you can. So this is the built heritage, etc. What we are going to do next is we have shown our parameters, etc. And before, because people are going to discuss about it, our resource person, honorable resource person. Now here comes the biggest problem, identification. I have taken one site from Northeast, that is Unakoti. Generally it is considered a very tribal, rudimentary and all these things, but if you go to the top of that hill there in Unakoti, you will find sculpture shed. Find a sculpture shed, and in that sculpture shed, you will be astonished to find these kind of sculptures which are shown below. These are having typical post-Gupta features. Okay, and if you go to the top there, you will find, you can see the brick patterns there. If you excavate there, you will find remains of a temple there. If you just see Unakoti from outside, Do not look at those things scattered here and there. What you will do, you will go for documentation, but your documentation will be faulty because you have not considered all the features available at the site. Your interpretation will be wrong, authenticity will be lost, you will be, the site will be misinterpreted. So identification and authenticity, these are closely linked, and these are also basis of your database. These are the charters you should actually consider to have a look. Now this is a question, which one to document? Both of these two things are more than 100 years old. Which one to document? We have shortage of resources. Both of these two things are having an existence of more than 100 years. Which one to document? Under NMMA, which one to document? These two photographs I have taken from Kolkata. Both of these two are more than 100 years old. Thing is that, what is the answer? Second one, why not the first? Both of them are built heritage.
So this is in living tradition maybe. Tea shop is, it will be.
No, not that.
And this will be.
No. You should not consider that intangible things should not be documented. That can be documented also. But what is the problem here? Totally reconstructed. The old shop is gone. Of course, the samovar is there. For intangible documentation of intangible heritage, yes, you will document that. But not the shop for built heritage and sites. Because totally gone. It has been reconstructed totally. But the other one, it is having so that authenticity is lost. Authenticity and its identity now gone. What happened in these two? One is from Taprom, Cambodia, with silk trees. Which one is? And one from, again from West Bengal. Obviously, the second one is, because you have to maintain the authenticity. The authenticity has gone here. So what we can do with our databases when we are documenting all these things, what I have done there in Vadnagar when I started excavating, we have done the survey and all these things. We are going to do these things in Chunar on the day after tomorrow, on 23rd. So we have created this. After creating this, with all this survey and all, we are creating digital elevation model. What next? That is actually you are creating one database. For each and every point you have elevation, you have its slope, its angular position, etc. You have lat, long, everything. Now you have created a digital elevation model. After that everybody stops. But this is not the point where you should stop. Now you have to ask questions. You have several problems there. Okay? You can ask those archaeological questions, and what we have done with it. We have used those things to create visibility maps. Maps from certain point of this thing. We have created cost distance. This is a complex one because it requires certain kind of technical abilities. Cost distance and cost direction. And after that, what happened? We created the least cost path from Vadnagar to other archaeological sites there in Mehsana. What should be the least cost path? And you would be surprised to know these paths actually matched ancient paths, ancient routes to Vadnagar. In sites we got all along these routes. So it actually, your database helped you to answer bigger questions. So these are there. So these are the benefits, which is, of course, I think after this, my blah, 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 it is now more or less clear what are the benefits. I do not want to go further. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me. Any question? You are welcome.